Hi, this weekend, Orc Slayer What Ifs. Where we last left off, let's see, checking. They went through and got their, what, I forget what the exact wording is, their licenses, not their hero licenses. I forget the exact word, their provisional? I forget the exact wording they use. Yeah, the provisional license, where they could use their quirks in case of emergency, if I remember correctly. And as for to continue forward this, Bakugo knows, or well, fought Deku. Now they're about to fight Mirio, so that's gonna be cool. Well, he doesn't know, he just saw the multiple things as they went inside his head. So, and he fought Deku. So, with this being said, Deku versus Mirio. Allison's there, of course, and so is Carolina. As everyone's like, alright, let's be ready. As they're like all waiting there, Delta's like, his quirk shall be, as when immediately as they say that, he goes into the ground. As he's pretty much looking around, I guess would be the best way, he's like, I believe I stated that he can see. He doesn't have as much strain put on him in the sense. Can also grab things and pretty much make them intangible and pull them into the ground as well. And such. Stuff like that. Now, I don't know if this would make sense. Like, I guess you guys could tell me otherwise. But as that happens, Deku just feels something on his legs. Then he's pulled into the ground and just stuck there. Just head above the ground as he's like, what? As he's looking all around. As in, like, everyone's like, wait, what? Where's Deku? As Delta says, we believe that his abilities to... I think we get it, Delta. As Epsilon's like, everyone, start moving around. Don't stay in one spot. Everyone's, like, all spread out and moving around. As then Allison feels something grabbed on her foot. She immediately jumps up, pulling Mirio along with her. And then clocks him right in the face. As she clocks him in the face, or at least tries to, her fist goes through it. As he then takes her and pretty much dives with her, as then they go whoop, straight into the ground. Her being stuck there like with her face just above the thing, as she's like, hello? Since her ears are still underground, she really can't hear anyone. As it's like, hello? They don't have concrete or anything in their body either, just like that be known. As they're like, come on. As they're like trying to... As Carolina's like, oh, you need to spread out. As they're all just like running around now. The lines are broken. All is lost. As then they're all trying to run around. One by one, they're pulled into the ground. As then, before everyone's about to finish it, it's like, Omega, Deku, you need to increase these you need to increase as much as you can. As it, like, works together and they just, like, finally, like, start trying to move. As in, with pure strength alone, they're able to get one arm out as it, like, breaks through the ground. As it's like, as he's trying to pull himself up, as he gets out of his shoes, starts pulling himself up, sucks in his gut, and starts pulling himself. As it's like, 1, 2. As then when another, like, they get their, like, right arm and start bashing on the concrete above their left, as they break free. As then they just slowly but surely chisel their way out of that little prison. Gets out there, rolls forward, and just is prepared as it's, like, going invisible. As they immediately turn invisible, like... As Mirio's, like, comes up and he has, like, his pants on, he's like, where'd he go? As then immediately, it's like a jump up in the air. As then they literally come down, body slamming him. As it's like, oh. As he immediately tries to grab onto Deku again. But immediately, they grab his hands, grab him, and then they just, like, pretty much throw him off, running backwards. Then going invisible again. As it's sort of like a thing of them coming in for attack, messing up or missing, and then trying to go invisible. As Delta's like analyzing, as he's looking through for several possibilities, like as he's thinking, as they continue forward with that, They're going on, and it's just like, as is like, that's all for now. As it's like very monotone, as they're about to have like one final fist, like Deku's about to get the final punch, as it's like right in front of his face, as it was increased with speed and super strength, as it stomped right in front of his face, as Mirio's like, and it's like, that's all for now. You have class tomorrow, and this has been going on for long enough. Now, as then they talk about how they have their provisional license, they may be able to do an internship, with the hero, I forget what, a hero agency. There we go. As they talk about entering with a hero agency. As then they say, we have several, as they'll probably send in offers, or a few of them may want to talk to you, if I remember, sorry for saying this, but if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I watched the last season, and if I remember, I keep on saying that correctly, I mean a lot, it's either that they can either look for and like talk to some people who already work at them, or they get offered like internships. So I'll say it goes along very similar to how it does in the anime, and it's more or less Deku doesn't want to approach, like, talks with Aizawa and just thinks about, like, it would offer them experience, you could say. That being said, they're going around thinking real hard, like, so who do we go with? Do we go, As they're looking for possible candidates, Mirio actually told Nighteye about Deku, and how he almost was beaten by a first year. Well, he wouldn't say he was almost beaten. He said he almost got pretty hurt by that kid. The kid himself, he's pretty clever. Like, I think he would make a perfect fit if you're looking to hire on another one. Night-Eye's like, what was his name? Izuku Midoriya? He's like, I think All Might told me about him once. And he was on the screen. Did a bunch of research. As he's... wait, yeah, they already met once. I forgot about that almost. No, wait, that was with the Blacklight virus. Sorry. As when they're explaining everything... sorry. As they explain it, Deku... not Deku, but Mirio eventually invites Deku to become, like, go to Night-Eye's agency and do the internship. I believe it's internship. Or part-time, forget. But with that being said, they eventually go there and Night-Eye sees Deku face to face. As they're talking, they get to the whole Bubble Girl scene, as they is like, is that funny? Like, Gamma's like, I believe she is having fun. Look, she is laughing. Who wants to hear a knock-knock joke? Nobody. God damn. As Sigma's like, are we certain this is the best way to help us in becoming a hero? As then, they're like trying to make him laugh. As Gamma heard that and is like, I'll prepare my best knock-knock jokes. Knock knock. Nobody's there. Who? And then eventually they, Gamma's trying to do the knock-knock jokes, but they're all just pretty much like, he doesn't want to hear a knock-knock joke. As it's like, alright, fine. As then they just start talking with him. And he's like, why aren't you smiling? As it's like, oh. As then they just start, like, having a nice little smirk. It ain't like a big old toothy smile like, oh my, it's more along the lines of Mirio's, like, tiny little smile. As then when they are talking, speaking with Night-Eye, it's like, Mirio informed me that you almost beat him in a fight. He's like, yes. I'm like, alright, very well. If you want to be part of my agency, do this. As he does the whole thing with everything. He's like, don't worry about the damages. And the two of you, Bubble Girl and Mirio, leave the room. As then Delta immediately starts slowing down time. As before they left, they did quite a bit of research. As he searched through all the information about Nighteye and his quirk, he's like, very well. As he looked it up and such, he's like, I had devised several plans just in case of this. I did not know what Nighteye would be like, but it was safe to say that he is very serious and would want an example of our actions in person. So as it's like, get this from me, and as immediately they go invisible, as Nighteye didn't get the chance to use his whole quirk on him yet. As it's like, what the? As they immediately grab by the back of the neck and force the ground with his like leg put on his back. And then they just grab the stopper, or little stamp thing. As he's like, what the? As then they go over and they're about to stamp it, as the Nighteye throws his little support gadget thing, as it's like, shield, as then they immediately put the shield up, like a very small shield in front of him, and it goes crack. Because if I remember correctly, he had those like little, thingy-majiggers, or whatever, that he like threw at Rampa. If I remember correctly, it sent Rampa flying. I forget the exact details on them. I just know that they're either extremely heavy. Yeah, they're extremely heavy, I believe so. Or something. As then they pretty much walk over and just stamp the thing. As it's like, is that all? As Epsilon's like, is that all you really needed? Wasn't really that difficult. As he's like, yes. Like, well, we'll be going now. See you on Tuesday. As then they walk out and they're like, how'd it go? He's like, oh, I beat him in like a second. It's like, what? You gotta attack him before he uses his quirk. That's the only real way to win against him. That, or tire him out. Either way, I was gonna win. As Night-Eye's sitting there like, just forget it. As Mirio's like, well, I guess that kind of makes sense. Like, Night-Eye's hasn't been able to fight me on equal par lately. It's like, yeah, I know. So, anyways, he's like, see you on Monday. As then they get to the briefing, as Delta eats up all that knowledge, he like looks over the case files several times again and again, like after getting the details from Nighteye and them the next day. As it says, Chizaki, the boss of the Yakuza, blah blah, he has dealings with drugs and such. As Delta says, do we have any idea on his location? As they say, no, we don't. We do have a suspicion on where he is, and we'll be staking out his house. Otherwise, you two will be patrolling the area as far away as possible. You two should be able to do stuff while there. And Mirio, teach him the ropes on how we operate. It's like, very well, you got it, Night-Eye. As then he walks off all happy and such, as it's like, so. As Bubble Girl's like, you think they're gonna be alright? Like, he's like, yes, even if they do run into Overhaul, I'm confident in Mirio's and Izuku's, or the Millions and the Meta's abilities to take care of a task such as them. At the moment, I'd say the Meta is probably it's very close to being classified as a number one hero, or at least top 10 when it comes to objects. But then again, I'm not entirely sure. It's been a while, but I know Endeavor is pretty powerful and he's second one. With all his abilities, he may be able to kill him, actually. In fact, I think that'd be the only way for him to defeat Endeavor. Endeavor's fire quirk would make that pink foam stuff a little difficult to use, especially since it would melt. You'd probably have to wait him out and such if he didn't get scorched to death, but from what it looks like, his healing and everything would actually take effect here. Maybe able to just power rush him, but that isn't entirely for sure. As for the rest, like Mirko, Hawks, Best Jeanist, I believe, retired already. Sorry. Hogs, Jeanist, Mirko, I forget all the ones that were there. I believe it was Mirko, Mountain Lady. I think she was up there, but I'm not entirely sure. But anyways, as they continue forward, they just like walk down the thing, and as some people like know who he is, but they don't really know what his armor looks like. As he's like, oh look, it's Pro Heroes. As several like, that one next to the guy in the red cape kind of looks scary. As he like, some of the ones are like, he looks kind of scary. As then a few like other people are like, man, that guy looks cool. As they see him walking down this street with a giant grenade launcher strapped to his back and pistols at his sides. As Mirio's like, you sure you need all that? As Epsilon's like, yeah, we're sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Come on. I need other things that allow me to capture people that isn't directly breaking all their bones in their body. But he's like, you have a blade on that thing. Yeah, that's for the Nomus. As he like cocks it like a or what? Sorry. As he's like, well, let's try not to shoot anyone today. He's like, that's no promises are made, Lemillion. You should know that. As then he talks with Deku for a bit. So you know all my. It's like, yep. So how do you know him? He's like, I met him before coming to UA. Is there anything else? He's like, nope. If you don't try to pry, man, that ain't cool. Like, you're a cool guy, but we ain't close enough for me telling you about my personal history. He's like, oh, alright, sorry, man. He's like, yeah, it's no problem. Just no boundaries. As then, it's immediately as they're walking, they run to Eri, as Theta's like, oh, look at her. And as Delta's like, it looks like she has severe bandaging, maybe injuries. As Omega's like, why is a kid out here by herself? Maybe, as Gamma says, maybe we should ask her. As then they like lean down, and then the little person shows up in Eri's face. As they're like, oh yeah, we can't talk. As this like giant man with giant like blade coming off his back is just bending down talking to this little girl. As then it's like, hello, what's your name? As she still is terrified as she is in the anime. As Chizaki comes on, it's like, hey, what are you doing here? As then Epsilon's, so are you her dad or something? And he's like, yes, I am. Sorry. As they talk to him about the whole situation. As in, with talking to him, Gamma's like, I can't tell if he is lying. As Omega's like, I said we just break his legs to be sure. It's like, you always want to break your legs, shut up. As he's like, what happened to her? As they're like looking at her arms, she's like, she cut herself accidentally. On both arms and legs. There was a glass. It's like, man, maybe you should take better care of your area, man. Otherwise, they may get hurt. As Deku doesn't like this, or Epsilon doesn't like this at all. As then he comes out, as then, like, now how about we go get this checked? Just ensure, you know. As with Muriel wanting to do the whole, we can't compromise the mission, Deku's being reckless, and he's doing what he does best. As then they, like, immediately start walking towards the police station. As it's like, hey, Muriel, take her. I don't know about this guy, he seems off. Keep an eye on him. As then they're, like, walking behind him with the with the whole thing out. As in, like, well, he has his two sidearms out. No, his one. As in, Overhaul goes immediately, throw his hand behind him. As in, immediately just right in the forehead. Shoot his hands and then get his hands together and then shoot them together. Forcing him not be able to touch, sort of thing. As he, like, technically doesn't have any feeling in his hand, so he can't really manipulate it. And he still has that stuff in his head. He's like, alright, I got him. As they pretty much handcuffed him, just drag him there. As later that night, they're doing a whole thing where they're at a police station interrogating, and Nighteye and all of them are there, and Deku tells them to take Eri and such, that Nighteye and Deku could stay here and watch over the police station. Because if they're a big Yakuza boss, like he said, they'll probably have people coming for him. As in, Nighteye says, that's why I want them to. I ain't gonna abandon a little girl. I'm gonna help as many people as I can before I even dare to let that happen again. That's the end of that. As then he goes back into head as they take a vantage point over the station. As then immediately, an hour or so later, as Naya's like, it's getting late, you should return. As then, boom, just a large explosion. And then they see, in the cell door, it's all four ones being loaded out there. As Deku jumps out the window and fires upon some of the guys who are there. As then Rampa comes rushing in with his, arms, as he's like, shit. Fires some of the things into his leg. He's like, what is this? It's like, come back here and fight me. As Deku's rushing after him, it's like, Nighteye, you take care of whoever those guys are. As in firing multiple times at the getaway vehicle, they cause it to crash as he's loading. It's like Omega's Delta says we should probably prepare with lethal force initialized. Just in case. We have no clue on what these guys' quirks are. As then you got the super hungry guy coming at him. You got a steel guy as he tries to steal away the brute shot, as then he pretty much grips into it, saying that ain't gonna happen. As then he just fires several things, taking out two of those guys. With then the guy with the rock hard quirk coming rushing in, as then immediately takes the blade and slices right through the guy's arm, or the crystals, causing him to break, as then he just gets smashed right into the ground with a thing. And he has his helmet on, so he has super, his strength and everything is increased by a lot. Then speeds over, punches the guy trying to help Shizaki. I'll say it's the guy who's like, Shizaki needs me quirk. And he has the bullets as he's like, what is this? As Overhaul is sneaking up on Deku and just does a whole thing about explosions. Well, not explosions, but spikes. As then he jumps back with the case. He's like, looking at it, he's like, what is this? As then when Bubble Girl and Muriel are at the station, they get more information on some things that happen, with Kirishima and his thing about getting shot with a quirk erasing bullet. We believe as then it flashes onto the news, they're all in an office. Well, separate offices, but they still have TVs. As it's and there seems to be an explosion downtown. We're going to have a look now. It's helicopters flying. As then there's just another explosion or so with the Yakuza full in swing. There was sort of a fracturing, you could say, where the ones that were loyal to Overhaul still follow him, while the ones that were loyal to the old ways stayed at the home, you could say. And with that being said, how they continue with this is that Nighteye deals with Rampa. As then immediately after that, he goes to rush off to help Deku as he just sees a bunch of people laid down. As then the giant muscle dude is also there and he's trying to smash down on Deku. As then he's dodging left to right as he's just firing brute shot after brute shot to this guy. It's taking chunks, you could say, scarring, giving him burns and taking a few pieces of skin out and just being the big guy on steroids as he's ugh. As then he immediately rushes up the arm, slices into one, causing a large amount of blood to spill out. As then he just fires a bunch of times in the back of the guy's head, causing it to just go straight down. As he grabbed his head, well, he actually went behind, sliced his Achilles tendon, causing him to fall on one knee. As then he immediately sliced the other one, causing him to fall again completely on his knees. As then he immediately went up and just pretty much headbutted him in the head, causing a giant crack, well, a loud boom in the echo as a shockwave occurred with how hard he headbutted the dude. His helmet's kind of cracked, the visor and such, like a bit, to the point like where one eye is actually peering out. As he's doing that, Overhaul tries to do his thing. As Nighteye's like, move, Deku, as then he used one of his things to like hit Deku in the back, as his armor cracked and like went rolling, as he's like, ow. He's like, just saved your life. As he's like, Deku, as Delta says, I've already developed a grand plan to all Nighteye. We both will need to work in tandem for this to work. It's like, you knew I was going to be able to catch up? It's like, no, I prepared for the invention in case you did. As in, that was the last of the bird mask people. As then he I also radio in, nobody's going after the agency. Seems that they were just getting their boss out. As then they immediately go to fight Overhaul. And sorry if I missed anything, I'm pretty sure I got everything. Muriel fight, internship, yep. As in, when they go to fight Overhaul, as it's still on news, everyone is watching this as the helicopter finally... As we can see here, it looks like a local hero known as Sir Nighteye and a recent internship, a hero known as they're looking through the registration, Class 1A Izuku Midoriya, otherwise known as the Meta, fighting this weird boss with several other people with bird mask in front of them. As they're coming to fight him, as immediately they go invisible, as he's like, Deku? As Delta says, just wait, Nighteye. They immediately climb up jump up a building. As then immediately, as they get the chance, Overhaul is sending spike after spike at Nighteye, as when he has his arm raised out again, he's about to shove it down. Immediately, just something falls down like a white flash, and then Overhaul's arm is clean off. As he's like, what? As he goes to grab his hand to reattach it, Deku then grabs his hand and runs off with it, immediately just throwing it up in the air and then just destroying it with a brute shot, sending blood everywhere. As he then puts his hand, pretty much just forces his arm to clamp shut to stop the bleeding. It's like, you're done, Overhaul. As with a hand on the ground, he causes spikes to appear right in all around Deku, or all around Nighteye and Deku. As Delta says, we need to spread out. He'll easily, as then immediately the sparks come raising up, as Deku is about to throw himself in front of Nighteye, but then the thing curves around and just impales All For One, I would say. Overall, knowing that he can't... Killing Deku may be a difficulty, but he can sure as hell kill this guy in just normal shirt. As Nighteye wasn't prepared for that, as his future vision, I believe, would see that. I'm not entirely sure how that works. As then he's impaled. Deku, seeing this chance, speeds up with all the speed he can, pretty much blitzes him, and slices off the other arm. As then he then pretty much leaves him there and knocks him out. As then he helps Nighteye. He's like, oh god, damn it. As he's bleeding heavily, like I said. As they talk and say, I got ya. As the ambulance and police are starting to arrive, and it's like, grab that guy right there. As then he's armless, and what's happening? As the ambulance is then loaded up with Nighteye, as then he's sent off. With Deku, as they get a report from Deku, as a news reporter is landing, they're like, hey, can we get some information? As the police are like, back off, lady, we need to interrogate him. As then it's just a bunch of chaos and such. With everything leaving in suspense, Night-Eye's off in the hospital, he may actually die. Aries there, everyone's there, and everything's just in chaos. And with that final note, that's where this is coming to an end. So, I may do the special, because I do the 1K special after this video. I will be posting it in my community tab, and I'll be posting the ideas that I have for it. So, anyways, I hope y'all have enjoyed this. Hope y'all continue to enjoy this, and I hope y'all have a nice day, nice life.